Let's call the meeting to order. I want to thank everyone for attending today. Shane, you're up next.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to talk about the proposed Coos County anti-NDAA resolution. My name is Shane Ozbun. I am the Oregon State Representative for PANDA. We do not come to you asking for special favors or privileges. Our members come to you only to request you fulfill your oath to support the Constitution and engage the state government's duty to protect us from the abuse of our fundamental rights, which is occurring under the NDAA 2012, and the doctrine of applying the laws of war against citizens and persons in the U.S. contrary to the Constitution. So far, 11 cities, 10 counties, and 5 states have adopted some sort of resolution or legislation to uphold their oaths to the Constitution and protect the rights of their citizens. For example, the City Council of League City, Texas voted 7-1 to reject the NDAA's unconstitutional mandates. The resolution instructs League City's public agencies to refuse compliance with NDAA action against anyone. As former New Jersey Superior Court Judge Andrew Napolitano said recently, widespread noncompliance can make a federal law nearly impossible to enforce. PANDA and Oathkeepers has been gaining widespread support here in Oregon on this issue. We've been forming a coalition of support from citizen groups, and elected officials like yourself has graciously volunteered to help us with community education during our presentations. PANDA Oregon is now calling upon Coos County Commissioners to honor their oath of office to support, protect, and defend the Constitution as the federal government has decided to support unconstitutional legislation. It is now time for cities, counties, and states to assert their right, protect their citizens, and nullify sections 1021 and 1022 of the NDAA. We also call upon the Coos County Sheriff to uphold his status as the highest ranking law enforcement of this county, to uphold his oath to support, protect, and defend the Constitution, and assert his authority to refuse the U.S. military to arrest any U.S. citizen in Coos County. As Thomas Jefferson said, where powers are assumed which have not been delegated, a nullification of the act is a rightful remedy. Kentucky Resolution 1798. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Stephanie, you're up next, please. And following Stephanie, Phil, you'll be on.
Good morning.
Morning, Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Lintz, and I am a member of PANDA Oregon. I am here today before you to show my support on passing the proposed resolution against the 2012 NDAA. Everyone strives towards a goal in life. You guys have strived and worked hard towards where you are today, I'm sure of it. I myself have strived and worked hard towards many goals in my lifetime. I have a degree in the medical field, I'm a mother, a wife, and I volunteer my time with PANDA. Just like us, our forefathers strived towards a goal that was to transcribe the United States Constitution in order to protect their citizens and future citizens. Sections 1021 and 1022 of the 2012 NDAA demolishes our Constitution. These articles are a direct assault on our sacred liberty and Bill of Rights. By allowing the President of the United States to detain whomever he wishes on mere suspicion or of terrorism, Congress has given the executive branch unprecedented authority to arrest our friends, families, and fellow citizens to be held indefinitely without due process. So shouldn't we be on the same side working towards a common goal with each other? To rid sections 1021 and 1022 of the 2012 NDAA? Before I sit back down, I would like to leave you a quote that Abraham Lincoln had wrote. Do not interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is a safeguard of our liberties. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Derrick, you're up next. And after Derrick, Teresa. Morning, Derrick.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Derrick Hiener. I served in the U.S. Army. I'm a disabled veteran. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, one in the Korengal Valley, most active combat outpost in all of Afghanistan and Iraq. I just want to talk a little bit about just the things I see going on today, that inactiveness, and it's not all your guys' fault, but I see it in all our leadership. And I ask, where are the leaders that lead by example? That's what you guys are here for. That's what you got elected to do. You're supposed to listen to these people. They elected you into your positions. And when you guys talk, like, oh, I'll talk to you later about it, that doesn't really sound like you're serving the American people. I took an oath for this country to fight for that flag, this Constitution, and the people in this country. And when I see my people getting treated like this, somebody's got to stand up to this. This is BS. You guys need to start working for us now. I hope you're mad. I hope you are. You know why? Because I lost 3 guys over there, gave their lives for this. Yeah, Andrew Smalls, 19, got a Silver Star, second highest medal next to the Congressional Medal of Honor. And I come back after going over there, doing 2 combat tours, and what do I see? No one leading by example. No hope for the youth. And I ask, where's this mythological hero at that's supposed to come out and direct us all where to go and how to fix this? Instead, I hear leaders that aren't leading, and it just really hurts me because I thought I fought for something, for a flag, for an idea, for a constitution, and these guys are here fighting for every American, and this is unconstitutional, all this stuff, but you guys don't want to deal with it. Let's let the guys up in Washington deal with it. Well, obviously they have. That's why it's gotten this far. My question is, if you guys aren't going to do anything about it, who is? Maybe the people in the crowd should do something about it, and maybe we should hire someone else that can do their job if you guys aren't going to. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. Teresa, you're up next. Oop, no, not that Teresa. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have a Teresa that has an agenda item here, and
Good morning to all of you.
Bye, Teresa.
This might be a little repetitive because it is on the NDAA. And I want to start out by saying that,
Name? Can you
I'm
say-
so sorry. Is that better?
Yes, but I didn't hear your name.
Okay, oh, Teresa Norman.
Norman?
Norman. When the signing of 2012 version of the NDAA was signed, it undermined the Constitution of the United States, and thereby stripping the United States citizen of many of our God-given rights, including but not limited to the Bill of Rights, such as no trial by jury. It allows the military to patrol our streets. You can be arrested with or without a warrant and for any reason. Indefinitely detain U.S. citizens, which is happening as I speak. The unconstitutional piece of legislation must be rejected as it has been done in other locations across the country. Those elected officials in these areas could see the danger of this bill. They saw it for what it is, a danger, a bill that tries to keep all of us under the power of tyranny. Truth be told, this could have been taken care of months ago. But I find myself once again speaking to our elected officials, trying to help them understand their duties of protecting all the citizens here in Coos County. The NDAA is the greatest threat to civil liberties that we, the people, have ever had to face. We count on our elected officials to protect our God-given rights. The NDAA greatly expands the power and scope of the federal government to fight the war on terror, including codifying into the law the indefinite detention of possible terrorists on mere suspicion alone. Under the new law, the U.S. military has the power to carry out domestic law enforcement, which operations on U.S. soil, which is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. The NDAA is a danger and a threat to every single American. It will and does affect all American citizens. Obama stated that he would not sign this bill, or if he did, he would veto it. Instead of a veto, he signed another bill, NDAA, of 2013, with even stricter laws than the past. I'm sure if anyone here today watches the lamestream media, you've heard of the suicides, killings, deaths, threats, and many people targeted for their religious and political beliefs, as well as whistleblowers. Some of the whistleblowers up there in D.C. do not want to come forward because bad things happen to them. They just disappear and never seen again. According to the list that Obama does have, you can make a safe bet that you are all enemy combatants, as well as me. As far as I'm concerned, any American military soldier, American police, American sheriff, or even American judge that upholds this treacherous law is already a traitor to we the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Taylor, you're up next, and Ethel, you follow Rob. Morning, Rob.
Good morning, Commissioner Sweet. Good morning, Commissioner Melissa Cribbins and Commissioner Bob Main. You know, when I practice my speeches, but I'll tell you what, I kind of lost it there when this young man just got up to speak. I'll tell you, I remember when I was a young man, you know, I'm just a couple of years before I hit 50, and I remember watching a lot of the old politicians do something horrible. It was called compromise. I thought we had a compromise here, John, and I thought we were going to be able to get this done away with, but I listened to this gentleman here who just talked about risking his life for our freedoms, for our ability to just stand up here and speak. I can no longer give you that compromise, and I will not take it. I'm going to ask this council at the next council meeting, bring this to the floor for a vote. I want you to vote on this. I'm asking this to be an agenda item, and I'm asking you, Melissa, if you're waiting for competent judges, yesterday the Supreme Court just gutted the Fourth Amendment. If you're looking for competent judges, don't look there. 5 out of the 4 just aren't competent enough. But I'll tell you who is competent enough, young men like this. And I'll tell you, I bet it's been a long time since you've seen young people like this come out here. You should be very worried because I can feel the petitions gathering. I can feel the signatures coming. I don't want to do this. I want you to vote on it, and I want you to uphold the Constitution. We've had 2 judges already decide on this. I don't know more, you know, the emotional pleas just aren't going to work. But I can tell you right now, the political will, when I go out there and I'm collecting signatures, every person we collect signatures from are going to ask that question. What moron wouldn't back up our constitutional rights? And Melissa and John, what do you want them to answer when they're getting signatures and they're asked that question? What moron wouldn't back up our constitutional rights? And I want to be able to not have to answer that question. I want to be able to say that my commissioners stood behind the people, because this is not a federal issue. My rights are not a federal, state, or local issue. They're my rights, and you can't get no more personable than that. I've never seen a group so attached, so emotionally attached to a resolution. There is a reckoning coming, a reckoning if you do not vote on this and pass it. If you fail to pass it, we will go get those signatures, we will put it on the ballot, and by God, it will cost the county $60,000 because we can do it before the next general election. I do not want to do that. I do not want to cost this county $60,000 to do this. You are representatives. We are a constitutional republic. That is a government by the people, for the people. And we, as the people, are demanding you, our representatives, to uphold this law and abide by the Constitution. And once again, I go back to that competent judges. You know, in the last years, they just said that they can now take our DNA at any time we're arrested. Well, they've lowered the bar for indigent circumstances. They've gutted the Fourth Amendment before. Now they have any old reason they can enter your premises. And then the evidence that they find, they've lowered the bar in recent court cases, that any evidence they find when they enter your premises, they don't need a warrant to take, and it'd be admissible in trial. And now we're talking about a law that allows the government to take you away indefinitely. I don't think Thomas Jefferson would have put up with this. I don't think Benjamin Franklin would put up with this. And I, sure as hell, am not going to put up with this after listening to this young man get up here and speak his heart. And so I'm asking you as the council, please bring this to a vote the next meeting. If you cannot pass this, then I can guarantee you we will file an initiative. And I can tell you right now, it will take less than that 90 days to collect that initiative. And I promise you, sir, We will not compromise. Thank you.
Morning, Ethel. How are you?
Good morning. I would just like to say that I hope that this commission will listen to the people that have spoke here today and really take it to heart. It is something that we need to have in this county. Did you ever think about the idea of they take your taxes, they being the government at this point in time, and they take your money, and then they're making these drones to use on us? Hello? Is anybody home? We need the laws against them, and I hope this isn't the last commission standing. Thank you.
Thanks, Ethel. Dawn, you're up next, and Mary, we'll set a work session. And then Eldon, you'll follow Mary. Morning, Mary.
Tom, I can't remember, no, you're okay? Okay. I'll pass on.
All right. And then Dennis Swartz after Mary.
Good morning.
Morning, Mary.
Mary Jedrick, Coquille. I'm actually here to speak in support of the commission facilitating a grassroots discussion of the NDAA. I'm also the mother of a disabled Iraq combat veteran. But I don't think it's the issue here is so much about whether or not this is constitutional or not. In my opinion, it's clearly not constitutional. But all change begins at the grassroots level. That's where it really begins. And if we aren't willing to support what we believed is necessary, we have to facilitate these discussions at this point. For example, I don't think some of us wouldn't know that liberals and conservatives can stand together on this issue if it hadn't been brought to this council, to this point, and this community meeting. And I don't think that we need to concern ourselves so much with which judge or so forth has confirmed the constitutionality or not of this issue. The NDAA is wrong. It's just wrong. It's wrong. It's used not only for indefinite detention, but it's used to persecute and prosecute in an unwarranted manner whistleblowers, people who are simply trying to tell the truth. So I would ask that you, as the leaders of this community, facilitate this very important grassroots discussion. Whether you sign this resolution or some variant of that resolution is less important than having the opportunity for all of us to get together and share our commonality on this particular thing and do what we can to stand up and rise up against it. That's what public meetings are for. I don't know why you would object to allowing this to proceed. I may be coming at it from a slightly different perspective, but I think that it would be beneficial if we even set up a work session so that people in the community, since we can't really rely on the press anymore, community meetings are an important way of getting these issues out. So I would just ask that you facilitate this discussion by either putting it on the agenda, it would be nice to have it on the agenda, or establishing a work session. Because it crosses all lines. Read Hedges versus Obama if you want to get some more detail. Liberal bastions, some of my heroes, Noam Chomsky, Chris Hedges, Daniel Ellsberg, Michael Moore are just as appalled by this as the more conservative side. It crosses all boundaries. And we do have a responsibility as leaders, as communities, to stand up and fight for young men like this. For my son, You know, this is what we're here for. You know, all we're asking is that you facilitate the discussion. I don't know why you're afraid to do that. You're not making a commitment. You're just facilitating the discussion. Put it on the agenda and let us all have a talk about it. Invite the community. Let us do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Next up is Larry Meyer, and following Larry is Colin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Meyer. In the interest of your request to cut things short, I think everything that needs to be said has been very well said, and I fully believe that this commission will make the right decision. You cannot deny what has been said and what could be said. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you,
Thank
Larry.
you.
Colin?
Hey there.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for listening to all of us. It's a very passionate issue and important to all of us. I am Colin Farnsworth. I am the Deputy Director for the People Against the National Defense Authorization Act, as well as I'm a high school history teacher. So I'm going to bring kind of a more historical awareness to this whole issue about bringing the local governance back into play here. Basically, Oregon has one of the longest histories of state constitutionalism. I don't know if you guys have known this, but basically this means that our state courts are allowed to think independently and think about our state constitution before looking at the federal constitution for legal precedents. We're not really supposed to be, our courts are not supposed to be following slavishly to the federal mandates from the Supreme Court decisions, but looking at our own legal history as a state and our own state constitution and our state background and how it was ratified here in the state of Oregon. There's numerous case law that you could look at to set this precedence that actually contradicts a lot of Supreme Court cases that have gone through. I won't get into that because I only have 2 more minutes at this point. But one of our Supreme Court justices here in the state of Oregon is Justice Hans Lindy, who was not only a law professor at from 1959 to 1976 at the University of Oregon Law School, but he was also one of our Supreme Court justices from 1976 to 1989. And he actually confirmed a lot of this connotation or surrounding the state constitutionalism. And so what we're doing here is we're just trying to restore the state constitutionalism that we actually have some of the strongest history here in Oregon and set of precedents throughout the country. There's other states that do this as well, including our neighboring state of Washington. What we want to do here is we want to enact this resolution to have you guys kind of affirm your oath to the Constitution. Not only the county commissioners reaffirm their oath to the Constitution, but also our county sheriff, who is the our local official for the executive branch. And we want them to, all of you guys, to reaffirm your oath and pledge to not only the United States Constitution, but also our Oregon State Constitution. And the difference there is that the National Constitution allows you so much protection, but actually our state constitution can provide even more protection than what the 14th and the Bill of Rights provides. So the point of this resolution, or hopefully potentially an ordinance, is just restoring this constitutional governance of Oregon as well as the federal constitution, and have this backed by not only you folks but also enforced by our county sheriff. That is so important. And what better day to put this on the agenda than a couple days before the Independence Day? So I think that would be awesome. Just to reiterate some of the things that the NDAA does, it overturns 200 years of posse comitatus, which means the police force of our U.S. American troops. That is not allowed. Also, it installs the laws of wars in America, allowing indefinite detention, rendition, removing American citizens off our shores and into potentially Guantanamo Bay. This sounds so conspiracy theory, and yet it is completely true. It also, and more importantly, it breaks our national balances of power, our checks and balances by usurping the entire Justice Department. It goes on suspicion. You are not allowed your due process under the 5th Amendment, the 6th Amendment, the 7th Amendment, or the 14th Amendment. So this usurps the entire Justice Department and the judicial branch of our federal government and our state government, and it just can't be allowed. So we appreciate if you guys put this on the agenda meeting. for a vote on July.
And following Jill is Rick Staggerborg. Morning, Jill.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the time. I'm here to speak in support of a resolution that I hope to see presented here next month, opposing the NDAA. Over the years, there's been an opportunity for us to kind of shake our head, collective head, about the way that some of our constitutional rights are applied. And my prime example of that is the First Amendment protects a pornographer just as it did our founding fathers. And even though that doesn't sound right, I appreciate the fact that those constitutional rights are applied evenly. And it isn't right, but overall, everything has ticked along pretty well and made our nation pretty strong. But as we mature and as we evolve, it appears that our nation begins to suffer from a natural progression which causes us to crumble from within. And I believe this NDAA is one of those things that's causing us to crumble from within. Now, I personally have not served in the military as Derrick has, and I haven't fought any military battles. I have a lot of respect for this kind of activity, and I feel that it has made it possible for us to be standing here, like somebody else said. But now I am on a battlefield, and that battlefield is a war to maintain our individual rights. And we all can, and you must, step up to this call of duty. I'd like to ask that you pass this resolution when it's presented next month, because it's the right thing to do. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jill.
Good morning,
Morning.
Commissioners. My name's Dr. Rick Staggenborg. I'm an Army veteran, an Oathkeeper, and an anti-war activist. And I want to just point out that this is not a theoretical issue. We've heard a lot of discussion about the constitutional issues. You don't have to be a constitutional lawyer to know that the Constitution was designed to not concentrate power in the hands of one individual. Now the president, any president, can declare you or you or you an enemy combatant, throw you in prison without charges, a military prison, and nobody can answer to it. This is clearly unconstitutional. But I've heard lots of people talk about lots of things that are supposedly unconstitutional, and their interpretation of the Constitution is crazy. So I don't want to get so much into that. I just want to make it clear that this is not a theoretical issue. I have a friend, Susan Lindauer. You may have heard of her. She was a CIA asset before and after the Iraq War started. She is a peace activist also, and she volunteered to work with the CIA because she had connections in Libya and Libya and Syria. She thought she could be, and in Iraq later, she thought she could help prevent that war. What she found out in working with the CIA is that the war, apparently they didn't want to stop the Iraq war. And when she tried to say afterward that through backdoor channels they had actually come up with a plan, an agreement with the Iraqi government that would have avoided the war, she ended up being thrown in Carswell military prison for 6 months. And now the nice thing about the Patriot Act is that it does require that you get a hearing before a judge. Well, it took 6 months to get a hearing. They would deny that she was there in the first place. Once that it was established as a fact she was there, they had to go through Judge Mukasey, who later became the Attorney General, to get a hearing in the first place. I could tell you the whole story, but she wrote a book about it called Extreme Prejudice. You can check it out. Anyway, the point is, that was the Patriot Act, and she got her hearing finally. It was a kangaroo court, but Mukasey figured out a way to get her out and still preserve the law, which was the Patriot Act, which also needs to be repealed. But before we can do that, we need to address NDAA because it's worse. Now you don't have to have a court hearing. Again, you don't need to be a constitutional lawyer. We have a lawyer right here. I'm sure she can tell us. That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Now, so this is not theoretical. It could happen to you. It has happened, and it's happened at the highest level of the government, which is why we can't trust the Supreme Court to do anything about it. If anybody expected them
to tell Citizens United that, no, you cannot buy elections, you cannot buy our elected officials. If you expected that, then you were naive. And if you expect them to overturn NDAA, you're even more naive. We cannot trust the upper levels of our government, and that is why we need to do it at this level. We need to do it at the city council level, at the county level, at the state level. We need to speak up and let those bought-off politicians know we are not going to put up with this anymore. We could talk about, you know, getting rid of them, getting them out of office, and we're going to have to, but that's not the way to do it. Who are we going to replace them to? The system is rotten to the core. And as an American, I was brought up to believe in the Constitution and the things that we're supposed to stand up for, individual liberty and justice for all. Wow, what a concept. We don't have that anymore. And if we're waiting for them to do something about it, then you're going to be surprised at what you see. So I hope anybody that's thinking twice about voting on this, and better yet, as Mary said, having a town hall about it, I hope you'll think again.
Rick, thank you. Thank you all for your input this morning. Let's move on to the rest of the agenda. Item 3A. Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for having us in here. I'll try to make this as fast as possible. As you know, I'm the Southwest Coordinator for Oathkeepers of Oregon, and I cover 7 counties. And back in October, we submitted some information to the County Commission on the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, and I've supplied supporting documentation to show the egregious violations of the Constitution that this does have. Mrs. Cribbins had asked for a competent judge to make a decision whether or not that these were constitutionally legal or not. And I've provided 2 of those, Judge Catherine Forrest, Southern District of Florida, and also Alan, let's see, he is out of Virginia, Merritt, I believe it's Merritt. You have a copy of this in front of you, it should have it on there. What we're asking is, we've decided to ask the county to move ahead along with passing a resolution. We would ask, in all fairness, to give you more time to read through this information and some of the new stuff that I'm providing you with, that on the next board meeting of July 2nd, we would ask the county to open this up for further open discussion and public comments, and to ask for a vote on passing this resolution. As you see here today, we have many, many people that are here for this resolution to speak in favor of passing it. The basic line is there is no cost whatsoever incurred from this, so the county does not have to worry about any funding. This is already covered. It's going to save money for the county itself. It's going to improve police, community relations, and county relations. There's no reason in the world not to pass it. Other areas of the country have also done so, and recently Mr. Ozbun will pass that information on to you. And it's simply to let you know that we have an alliance of organizations, including people from the left and the moderate and conservative. And as you notice, the Oathkeepers, PANDA, which are people against the NDAA, the Cottage Grove 912 Project, the Oregon Abigail Adams Project, the Coos County Watchdog, the Sutherland Tea Party, the Patriot Coalition, the Intolerable Acts Action Center, Richard D. Fry, General Counsel, constitutional scholar, and Dan Johnson of PANDA as well. We do have more coming on board as we speak, and we will deliver those to you forthcoming. I will yield my time back to those coming up to speak, so that in the essence of time, I wanted to also reiterate about Chesterfield, Virginia, still being sued by Brandon Robb through the Rutherford Institute for assisting with unconstitutional arrest and violating his First Amendment right and Fifth Amendment rights to due process. In America, we admire and we live on the law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States. Now, you may believe that you are obeying your oath to the Constitution, but there are some differences that we feel. And with all due respect, we would certainly appreciate you to follow what the people are asking and to pass the resolution. I would like all those in the audience to stand who are in favor of passing this resolution to please stand. Okay. Now, if there's no reason to pass it, then we would like to know why
Tom,
from anyone
you
else.
please direct
Thank you
your
very
comments
much.
to
Please sit
the
down.
chair.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's very important for our veterans to be recognized in the sacrifices that they have laid down for our lives, for our county, our community. To say this is not a county issue is irresponsible because everything starts from the ground up. It does. If we were to take our direction from higher ups, from the state to Portland, Salem, and even the United States government, which we cannot take this back to the Congress, who are the people who passed it in the first place. That would take many, many years to do, and they're not going to do it in the first place. It's our responsibility to stop it right here at the county level. And we can do that legally, affordably, and safely, without any downsides whatsoever. And I thank you for your time. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it now. Thank you very much.
One day, somebody's going to have to say enough.